Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to the channel and another video for the Rabbit Hole Designs. So today we're using the stamp set Beachin from the latest release, and we're going to use the same basic technique for all three cards, and then a secondary technique that's different for each card. This first card uses a piece of Bristol Smooth, and I'm going to heat emboss it with some clear Nouveau, crystal clear Nouveau embossing powder. And I marked on the back of each panel what I was going to do to each one so I wouldn't forget. 3 is a lot of cards to work with in one video. And for the second one, we are going to use some ultrafine gold embossing powder, I believe by Ranger. And we're going to use another panel, but this one's just a piece of 100-pound accent, which I buy off of Amazon. So yeah, I believe that's Ranger gold embossing powder I'm using there. And that's how that one turned out. For the third one, we're going to use a piece of 100-pound black cardstock, and we're going to heat emboss with Nouveau silver embossing powder. And like I said, each of these cards will have something different done, so that we're basically making 3 quick cards, but they're all going to look totally different. And when I stamped this one out, you can see I left a little blotchiness there in the center of the hat. I just brushed that away with a paintbrush I keep for those occasions, and it came off fine. Now I'm going to take that first one that was embossed with clear embossing powder. I'm going to do some embossed resist with some Distress Oxide inks. I have here Squeezed Lemonade, Dried Marigold, and Kitsch Flamingo. I still don't know if I'm saying that properly. So I wanted to read the sentiments that come in the Beachin stamp set. We have hashtag Beachin, let the waves hit your feet and the sand be your seat, sending sandy hugs, endless summer take me there, you, me, and the sea. And I think I said it in the last video. This whole release, I really loved it. I love the beach. I love summertime. I love the ocean. So, in fact, I'm really missing all of those things right now because it's been snowing here for the past 3 days, if you can believe that. I'm going to hit this up with a couple spritzes of Imagine Crafts Frost spray. And I only used one this time, not all 3 of my sparkle sprays. I dried that with my heat gun. Apparently I didn't dry it enough because when I put those blocks on my panel, it ripped a piece off of my cardstock. So we're going to have to cover that up with some embellishment later on. Then I used some of that Sugar Crystal Tonic glitter cardstock for a frame beneath or behind this one. And also to cut out with some alphabet dies from my stash, the sentiment that comes with the stamp set, but I chose to cut it out of alphabet dies. Hashtag Beachin. And I think that looks really cute. I took some pretty pink posh jewels here. I can't remember the name. I'll put that on the screen for you. And this first card is done. I also used a piece of 100-pound Raspberry Fizz, I believe, cardstock as the card base for that card. For this second card, the black one with the silver embossing powder, I'm going to take my metallic watercolors and I'm going to use some of the blue and the light red. I believe that color is called Flame Red, but it looks more like a coral color on the black cardstock, which is why I chose to use it. And at first I was only going to do it in the bottom left and top right hand corners, my splatters. But then I chose to go in a diagonal line, mostly because I didn't like the way it looked in just those 2 corners. And I like this look. It gives a nice simple look, but also elegant. I put a piece of double-sided adhesive on the back of that sentiment strip so it would stay in place while I line up my sentiment. And it did work. I put my fingers on it enough times so they wouldn't rip the paper that I had stuck it to. And I'm going to heat emboss that with silver embossing powder as well. Excuse my heater kicking on, but as I said, it's been snowing the past few days. I used a piece of Tonic Marina Mist iridescent cardstock for the frame behind this one. But this time we're going to pop that whole panel up on foam tape. Just one layer. And then we'll also pop up the sentiment on foam tape. And the sentiment says, "You, me, and the sea." Take a look at that iridescent cardstock. I really love the way that looks behind that panel. For the third card, I chose to cut out the gold embossed image with the accompanying die. Well, it doesn't come with it. I chose to purchase it for this stamp set because that's a lot to fussy cut. And I really like the way it cut out with the die. It also cut out a couple of those tiny pieces between the drinks and stuff. And now we're going to use some tone on tone using a piece of light blue cardstock. I don't know where it came from. It was in my stash and it wasn't labeled. Kind of reminds me of sea glass. And then I'm using some Catherine Pooler hot tub ink to make like a watermarked look on that panel. And our image will be popped up on foam tape on top of this card panel here. And I'm using just the little images that came with the larger image in the stamp set. So there's 3 shells and a smaller plumeria flower, kind of like the bigger one that's on the hat. I'm going to do the same thing with this sentiment that I did with the other, put some tape on it to keep it in place. It's so hard to use the magnets with those sentiment strips, especially when your sentiment's going to take up pretty much the entire strip. I'm going to use the same ink that I used for the panel. And I'm stamping out, "Let the waves hit your feet and the sand be your seat." As you can see, I stamped on the back of that panel and decided to do something else. I put some double-sided adhesive on there, stuck it to the white card base, put some Nouveau Deluxe adhesive on my foam tape, and then we'll put that image in place. I will pop up the sentiment strip as well. And that's going to go in the top right. And then I used some of the sequins that came with the March release. Some of the kind of iridescent clear ones, and then some of the darker blue ones. And I really like the way this card turned out. I think it reminds me of the ocean. So I hope you liked today's 3 cards. Don't forget to sign up for the Rabbit Hole Designs email to be inspired. It'll let you know when new releases come out, all kinds of good stuff. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now, guys.